What's going on, everybody? Welcome to this edition of Gin and Tonic. I'm your host, as always, John J. II, and we got a couple important topics to talk about today regarding the NFL. First, we're going to start off with Cam Newton. Cam Newton is returning to the Carolina Panthers franchise after becoming a free agent, after being a New England Patriot, and basically spiraling out of control as far as, being an NFL player. Happens, okay? Happens to many players. You can look back and basically they fall into a wormhole where you never really see them or hear from them again. That could have easily happened with Cam Newton. It didn't. He is coming back into the realm, into the Lions' den, and into a franchise where he found some success. Obviously, none of us can forget the Super Bowl in 2016, Super Bowl 50, actually, where Cam Newton refused to fall in a fumble that was pivotal in deciding that game. And I'm sure that keeps him up at night even to this day. And I'm sure a lot of those memories are revived just returning to the Carolina Panthers locker room, meeting rooms, things like that. So a lot of those feelings are revived. Hopefully you can shut them out. But I'm hopeful for Cam Newton. I think he has a lot of potential still. He's getting into his later years in the NFL as far as being an athlete. So maybe he's looking to retire there. I don't really know what he's looking to do, but he's looking to be successful. He's looking to find some promise in the NFL and found himself in a familiar spot. So he's being signed on with a $4.5 million one-year deal, guaranteed deal with a $1.5 million roster bonus that will be applied later on. And he's got to prove himself, basically. You got to prove yourself with that extra 1.5 mil, Cam. So that's all good and everything's good there. We're excited to see where Cam Newton is able to do and how he's able to take over the Carolina Panthers, especially with Sam Darnold being out with a shoulder fracture. Will likely be out for the rest of the season. Will not see the starting position yet again. He's going to just take the rest of the season, heal up, and let Cam Newton try to salvage something out of your season. So we'll see what happens. We'll be following the Cam Newton story very closely. Obviously, this is very hot news with different players entering the waiver wires and things like that. So that actually transitions us into our next topic, talking about Odell Beckham Jr., OBJ. So we talked about this on the GSN podcast earlier this week. Smitty and I talked about it, and Seth and Smitty also talked about it on their Instagram live video yesterday, which I'm sure they'll touch on more on Sunday in the new NFL podcast we're releasing. But regardless, OBJ is now a Los Angeles Ram. He has found himself with Matthew Stafford, with many others, valuable weapons. I'm talking about Tyler Higbee, Von Jefferson, Robert Woods. These weapons are valuable weapons to Matthew Stafford. Yes, they had a falter last week. Don't have to talk about that. And I'm not even calling myself a Matthew Stafford fan. Don't want to jump on the bandwagon like a lot of Lions fans have. And I guess I give them props for joining a team that is successful. They're finding their way. Obviously, without Jared Goff there, I think getting rid of Jared Goff is possibly the best thing the Los Angeles Rams could ever do. So he's not finding much success in Detroit. That's probably where he belongs. But regardless of all that, we're focused on the Los Angeles Rams adding another weapon to their offense in the wide receiver position with OBJ. Does he have what it takes? I hinted towards the fact that OBJ might be washed up. He didn't really find that success that he had with the Giants in Cleveland with the Browns and Baker Mayfield, but that doesn't mean you switch up a team. You can't, that doesn't mean you can't find your niche somewhere else. That's what happened exactly with Matthew Stafford. He found success in Los Angeles where he could not find it in Detroit, and you can see this happening over and over, unless you're Tom Brady where you can just find success wherever you go. But he's one in a million, so we can't really count on anyone else really being like that. It does happen from time to time, so we'll see, and we'll be focusing on this story very much as well as it kind of develops and as things transpire throughout the rest of the year. How does this change playoff pictures? How does this change different conferences and different divisions in the NFL, the NFC, AFC picture, the playoff picture? So we'll be focusing on it. We'll be looking at it a lot closer going down the stretch. So make sure to stay focused and stay tuned to the Gin Sports Network for all updates regarding both of these individuals and the rest of the NFL as things are heating up, not only in the NFL, but also in the world of fantasy. Fantasy football, we're approaching that week mark. We got a couple more weeks left until we get into the playoffs. So things are going to get really hot and heavy going down the stretch, especially for fantasy and for the NFL as a whole. Thank you guys for tuning into this edition of Gin and Tonic. We'll be posted on all these stories, and we'll be following up on them as they develop more. So stay tuned to all of our social media for all updates regarding the NFL and everything sports. I'll leave it at that, guys. Thank you for tuning in again. I'm your host, as always, John J. II, Have a great day.